as we went to commercial. Sophie Cunningham hit the floor hard. And
Sophie Cunningham, oh man, I got to tell you, this victory, it came with a big price.
Sophie Cunningham went down clutching her knee, and everything changed for the Indiana Fever. A collision with Bria Hartley has sparked outrage, raised questions about safety, and even led to talk of lawsuits. With Caitlin Clark out, Sophie became the spark, and now she's the target. Let's break it all down. The moment Bria Hartley collided with Sophie Cunningham's knee, you could feel the entire arena gasp. Sophie tried to get up, then collapsed again. Holding her right leg in visible pain, teammates rushed over, trainers sprinted onto the floor, and suddenly, what felt like an ordinary drive turned into a season-defining moment. If you watch the play closely, Hartley is pressured to her right side, but instead of falling away, she barrels straight forward into Sophie's legs. That's what makes this so frustrating.
Cunningham was flat out targeted by a dirty player.
I'd say there's a near 0% chance Sophie Cunningham plays again this year.
Sophie had position. She was defending correctly, on balance, and she didn't even expect contact at that angle. When her knee buckled, fans immediately feared the worst ACL, MCL, or something equally devastating. And here's the thing, Sophie isn't a player who stays down. This is one of the toughest competitors on the roster. When she screams, when she can't put weight on that leg, you know it's serious. That collision didn't just take Sophie off the floor, it ripped the momentum right out of the Fever. As Sophie was helped to the locker room, her family's reaction summed up what so many Fever fans were feeling: anger. They were furious at how it happened and how the officials handled it. From their perspective, this wasn't just unfortunate contact. This was reckless, dangerous, and completely preventable. And honestly, can you blame them? Sophie had already been getting pushed around earlier in the game. She got knocked down, bringing the ball up the floor, hit in the head, and nothing was called. Then, when this collision happened, the refs once again swallowed their whistles. Imagine watching your daughter, your sister, put her body on the line every single night, only to see her taken out on a play like that with zero accountability. It's one thing for a player to get hurt during natural basketball contact. It happens. But when a player with a reputation like Bria Hartley comes flying in and Sophie goes down in agony, it crosses the line. For her family, this wasn't just an accident, it was the last straw. Let's talk about the medical side of this, because the mechanism of Sophie's injury is extremely concerning. Bria Hartley's fall created what doctors call a valgus load, basically. Force from the outside pushing the knee inward.
What that's most likely going to do, we can't exactly see her foot position down here, but I think what this is causing is a forced valgus load from the outside of Cunningham's knee, pushing it inward. If we back this up a little bit, initially you can see how her right foot is pointed forward, and so any sort of impact is going to cause a hyperextension, pushing the knee backwards. But then as the play continues here, it looks like she initially picks up that right foot. We can see it start to move a little bit. That's going to start to rotate her body so that now when the Connecticut player comes in and lands on her, the force is coming in from the outside of the knee and pushing it inward. What this is going to do is potentially cause a number of injuries to the inner medial side of Cunningham's knee from this forced external valgus load pushing the knee inward.
That type of stress can cause 3 different problems, all of them serious. First, the ACL. When that inward force combines with hyperextension, it can snap the ligament that stabilizes the joint. We've seen countless players lose entire seasons from that. Second, the MCL. The ligament on the inner side of the knee can easily overstretch or tear when the joint collapses inward. And third, maybe the scariest for Sophie in this moment, a patellar dislocation. That's when the kneecap literally pops out of its groove.
a patella dislocation or a kneecap dislocation. Similar mechanism, whenever the knee is valgusly forced inward, the patella has a tendency in its groove to, obviously it wants to stay nice and neutral in its groove, but when patella dislocations, kneecap dislocations happen, it's usually because the patella comes to the outside, the lateral side of the trochlea, from a combination of the knee being pushed inward. And that's another thing, especially with the way that Cunningham reacts with keeping her knee up in this flexed position. This is something that we see people do whenever they've had a patella instability event, because this is the position that is going to be most comfortable initially because they can't straighten their knee out because that kneecap is translated on the lateral side of the joint.
The way she was clutching her leg and keeping it bent suggests this was a real possibility. You don't see players hold that position unless something is seriously wrong. And if you look at how her foot moved just before impact, her body rotated awkwardly, which makes all three of those risks even more likely. That's why this isn't just a tough fall. The mechanics of that play are exactly the kind that end seasons. This incident didn't just stay on the court. Reports say Sophie Cunningham's family is preparing legal action against both Bria Hartley and the WNBA. Why? Because they feel the league has failed to protect its athletes. Think about it. Bria Hartley has a track record of reckless plays, yet the league has allowed her to continue without serious punishment. If Sophie's injury is season-ending, the financial impact is massive. Lost salary opportunities, lost endorsements, even career longevity, all of that comes into play. Filing a lawsuit sends a message. The family won't let this slide. And honestly, it shines a light on something bigger. If the league promotes physical play as entertainment, but doesn't enforce rules to keep players safe, isn't that negligence? From the family's perspective, absolutely. This lawsuit could become a landmark moment for player safety in the WNBA, forcing leadership to confront the culture of roughhousing that has already cost the league multiple stars this season. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, Bria Hartley's reputation. This isn't the first time we've seen her involved in reckless plays. Pulling Angel Reese out of the air by her ponytail? Check. Body checking Skylar Diggins instead of playing straight up defense? Check. Scratching Rebecca Allen after throwing her to the floor? Check. At this point, how much benefit of the doubt can we really give her? None. When a player has a history of questionable behavior, every new incident is judged in that light. Hartley defenders might say she didn't mean it, but the tape doesn't lie. Sophie was standing upright, defending properly, and Hartley still dove straight into her knee. That's not just clumsy, that's reckless. And reckless is the nicest word I can use here. She's earned the reputation, and now the league has to decide whether it will continue letting this kind of play define its product. One of the most emotional moments after Sophie went down came from Indiana Fever coach Stephanie White.
I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you too. Proud of you. I'm so proud of you guys. I know that sometimes it sounds like just a word when we talk about being resilient, but it's not, man. It's how we live. Yep. It's how y'all live, and it's a tribute to you. It's a tribute to your connectedness, your togetherness, your toughness, your mindset. You never give up gritty attitudes. Like, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And
she was visibly shaken, nearly in tears, realizing just how devastating this loss was. Think about it. White has already dealt with injuries to Caitlin Clark, Ari McDonald, Sydney Colson, and more. Sophie Cunningham was the glue that kept this group fighting. She brought toughness, energy, and leadership that lifted everyone else. When that gets taken away, it's not just about one player, it's about the entire team spirit. Coaches are supposed to stay composed, but sometimes the reality hits too hard. White knew what Sophie meant to this roster. She knew what her presence meant to Clark. who finally had a teammate willing to fight by her side. Losing that is crushing. Watching White's reaction showed you just how much Sophie mattered beyond the box score. Here's the tough truth. Sophie Cunningham became a target the moment Caitlin Clark went down. With Clark sidelined, Sophie was the Fever's emotional spark and the second most hyped player in the WNBA. She was hitting shots, defending with fire, and standing up to opponents in ways that made her a fan favorite. But it also made her a marked player. Opponents knew if you could rattle Sophie, you could rattle the Fever. And when jealousy creeps in when players see her popularity rising, her energy sparking crowds, and her fearless leadership, it makes her a target for extra contact. Sophie had become the face of the team in Clark's absence, and that spotlight came with danger. Think about it. She was averaging double figures in scoring since Clark went down. Her defensive rating was among the best on the roster, and she had become the vocal leader on the floor. Other teams knew that if they could frustrate Sophie, the Fever's rhythm would collapse. That's why the pressure on her was relentless. And let's be honest, fans rallied around her toughness, which only amplified the envy of opponents. This isn't about paranoia, it's about reality. The league has shown time and time again that star players get targeted. Sophie just happened to be next in line, and sadly, she paid the price for carrying the spotlight with courage and fire. This season has felt cursed for the Fever. Caitlin Clark has missed most of the year with her groin injury. Dana Bonner left mid-season after collecting a paycheck. Ari McDonald broke her foot. Sydney Colson tore her ACL. And now, Sophie Cunningham might be out for the year. How does a team survive that? Depth has evaporated. Lineups have been shuffled non-stop. Chemistry never had a chance to develop. And through it all, Stephanie White has been forced to patch together rotations while watching the heart of her roster collapse. Sophie's injury is especially brutal because she was the best mid-season addition by far. Her defense, her shot-making, and her toughness gave the Fever balance. Without her, the margin for error shrinks even further. What should have been a breakout season has turned into a survival test. And honestly, it's hard to see how this group climbs out. What's happening with Sophie Cunningham isn't just about one team. It's about the entire WNBA. The league has leaned into the idea of physical play as a badge of honor. But at what cost? Fans tune in to watch basketball, not rugby or UFC. Yet the constant roughhousing, unchecked fouls, and dangerous collisions are leading to an injury epidemic that is draining the talent pool night after night. When star players like Clark and Sophie are sidelined, it hurts the product, it hurts the fans, and it hurts the future of the league. Attendance is built on seeing stars. Television ratings climb when recognizable names take the floor. And merchandise sales thrive when those players remain healthy. Every time the league loses a headliner, the ripple effect goes far beyond the hardwood. The WNBA can't keep celebrating physicality while ignoring the consequences. Officials must step in with consistent whistles, and leadership must enforce standards that prioritize health over spectacle. Otherwise, the injuries will pile up and the credibility of the league will suffer long term. Sophie's injury should be the ultimate wake-up call, not just another headline buried in the cycle. This is about the safety of the very athletes who carry the league forward. The question is, will anyone listen, or will leadership keep turning away until the next star goes down? So, what comes next? First, the medical results. Everyone is waiting to see if Sophie Cunningham's season is officially over. Second, the lawsuit. If her family pushes forward, it could force the league to take a hard look at its officiating and its culture of physical play. And third, the the Fever's survival? With Clark already sidelined and Sophie potentially gone, can this team even stay competitive? Or are we looking at a lost season? Most importantly, the WNBA has to decide what kind of league it wants to be. Do you want stars thriving on skill, or do you want stars limping off the court because reckless players go unchecked? Sophie Cunningham didn't just get hurt, she exposed the league's biggest problem. And until that problem is fixed, how many more stars will be lost?